Hello everybody and welcome back again. I'm here with another video, and this topic is who is the greatest of all time, who is the GOAT of tennis. And it's a very debatable subject, and as everybody knows, we have these three giants, Federer, Nadal and Djokovic, in the same era, not the same generation, because Federer is older than both Rafa and Novak. So I think it's 5 years between Federer and Novak. But anyway, these three giants has been dominated tennis since they all came along the courts of the world. So first Roger Federer, and then Rafael Nadal, and then Novak Djokovic. Federer turned pro in 1999, 20 years ago, and I think Nadal came around 2004, if I'm not mistaken, and Djokovic 2005 or 6. Anyway, these giants has been manipulating all the Grand Slams event almost since ever since. And Federer has won his first Grand Slam title in 2003 at Wimbledon. So after that, he just kept winning until Nadal came through. His first final loss at the Grand Slam event was in the epic 2008 Wimbledon final against Rafael Nadal, where Roger lost for the first time in a Grand Slam final, and I think it was his sixth consecutive final at Wimbledon, and that loss made him feel the loss for the first time in a Grand Slam event. So after that, you know the history of the rivalry between Nadal and Federer. So these three giants has totally won 53 Grand Slams together, and Roger is ahead with 20 Grand Slam titles, and then Rafael Nadal with 18 and Novak Djokovic at 15 Grand Slams. And what can we also add in this GOAT debate? We have to, of course, add the ATP Tour Finals. That is considered as the fifth Grand Slam because of the high of the points that they have, 1,500 points. I think it's if you win the ATP Tour Finals. And there Roger had won record 6 times, and Novak is right behind him with 5 wins. And Nadal has today never won that event. On the other hand, Rafael Nadal has won an Olympic gold medal in singles, and Roger and Novak have not done that. Novak have a bronze medal, I think, and Federer lost the final at 2012 Olympic Games at London to Andy Murray, where Andy Murray basically destroyed him. But Federer has double titles at the Olympics, so he has a gold medal, but not in the single. And if we look at the Masters, ATP 1000 Masters titles, Rafael Nadal is in lead with 34 wins, and then Novak Djokovic in the second place of 33 wins, and Federer has managed to win 28 wins. And as you know, the ATP Masters event are played in 9 different cities around the world. So Novak is the only one with the career golden Masters in his pocket. He has won all of the 9 Masters event. He won and completed his Golden Masters wins last year at Cincinnati, where he beat Roger Federer in 2 straight sets, 6-4 and 6-4. So neither Rafa or Roger has managed to do that. They have only won 7 out of 9 Masters, and Federer have not won in Monte Carlo and in Rome, both clay. And that's, if you look at the stats, his weakest playground, but surface. But we will get into that later about why Roger Federer is good at clay also. And Rafael Nadal have not managed to win in Miami or Paris Masters. So 7 out of 9 for both Federer and Nadal, and that is something that Novak Djokovic has succeeded with. And he the only thing that Novak haven't won yet is an Olympic gold medal in singles. Otherwise, he has done everything he can in his career by far measures. So what can you say about the Grand Slams events? Federer has totally participated in 30 Grand Slams. He has 6 victory and 1 loss at the Australian Open. His only loss came at the final of 2009 against Rafael Nadal. He has 5 French Open finals. And as you know, like a famous Swede, in 2009 he managed to win, for the first person to win over Rafael Nadal at French Open, Robin Söderling. He beat Rafael Nadal and then went on to the final, where Roger beat and took the first French Open title he have. And then if you look at Roger Federer's stats at Wimbledon, he has managed to come to 11 finals at Wimbledon, where he has won 8 of them. He lost 2008 to Rafael Nadal in that epic battle that some consider as the best tennis match in history. And then Roger won 5 straight wins at the US Open, and he has totally 7 finals there. He lost the 2009 final against Juan Martín del Potro and the 2015 final against Novak Djokovic. So that will give us a number of 30 Grand Slam finals and 20 wins. And if you go to Rafael Nadal, he has participated in 25 Grand Slam finals and won 18 of them. So he has lost 4 finals at Australian Open and won 1 time only in 2009, the year Roger Federer won his only French Open title. So that's Rafael Nadal stats. And then another remarkable stats that everybody knows: 12 finals at French Open and 12 wins. And that is pretty amazing, out of this world achievement. 12 finals, 12 wins at the surface. It shouldn't even be considered as possible, but you know, Rafa is an alien on court, so he is the man on clay, the king of clay. He has managed to do that. And Rafa has 3 victories at US Open also, 3 finals, 3 wins there. So pretty good stats for Rafa there. And then if you go to Novak Djokovic, the youngest guy of these 3 legends, these 3 considered as the best tennis player that ever stepped on the court. And he has 7 wins at the Australian Open in 7 attempts. And he has been in French Open final for 4 times and managed to finally win against Andy Murray at the final of 2016. And then we have US Open, a surface that Novak Djokovic is very fond of. He likes to play there. He has been in 8 finals, and he has been winning there for 4 times, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So he has been in 24 Grand Slam finals. So if we gonna add all the stats from the Grand Slams, the World ATP Tour finals, the Olympic gold medals, the Masters, we can see that if we count 1 point for each victory, but I just make it easy to count because I give Grand Slam 1 point and Masters 1 point, and then we'll come to the and then I come to the conclusion that Roger has 54 combined titles. If you count the Masters, Grand Slams, and ATP Tour events and Olympic gold medals, is 54, 53 for Novak Djokovic, and 52 for Rafael Nadal. So this is pretty close if you look at stats like that, but of course you know that Masters isn't higher valued as a Grand Slam, so you can take this with a piece of salt. So you don't have to take this too serious. But anyway, if we go to the head-to-head section, then you can see that Novak Djokovic has the upper hand against both Nadal and Federer. 28 to 26 against Rafael Nadal and 25 to 22 against Roger Federer in that rivalry. So he has most wins there, but they are pretty close. And he had very last good 5 years against both his nemesis. So, and Roger Federer trails against Rafael Nadal, as you know, 24 to 15 for Nadal, and 14 of them came at clay, of course. So what can we say about that? Nadal is the better player on clay. He has the advantage against both Novak and Roger. And on the hard court and grass, Roger has the upper hand, a slight upper hand against both of his rivals, especially Novak Djokovic. So these guys have been a joy to watch. This rivalry has taken tennis to new heights, to a new level. They set the bars for everybody. The greatest thing about this three, they're consistent week after week, year after year. They are always there when it's Masters, Grand Slams. They're always there on the second week, quarters, semis. You can imagine how many semifinals these guys have participated in. And if you look at the stats on number 1 spot at the ATP ranking, Roger is clear of 310 right now, with 237 straight weeks. And that's the longest streak anybody has accomplished yet. And then you have Novak Djokovic. He has today 255 weeks on the number 1 spot, and we are still counting that because he's the number 1 right now, and will be probably to the end of the year without a doubt, even if he has many ATP points to defend the second half of the season, because his last season from Wimbledon to the end of the season was marvelous. It was the Novak at the old days. You got this scary mood that he got from 2011 and 2015, where he won 3 Grand Slam each year and multiple Masters titles. So Novak has many points to defend, and will be probably the number 1 the whole year. So he's closing in on Roger Federer on that area. And also, if you count the Grand Slams, Nadal and Djokovic will be competitive in Grand Slam for at least 2 or 3 years, I think. So they are catching up on Roger, and Roger's best chance of winning Grand Slam If you ask my personal opinion, I don't think Roger will win any more Grand Slam. Maybe one at his best, but his greatest chances are at Wimbledon and Australian Open, the two fastest surfaces in the world. So he has a slight chance of winning there, because he will reach the semi-final, quarter-final, or maybe the finals. That's not impossible. I'm actually counting on that, because Roger is such a quality player and consistent player. So, and if you look at the generation today, that's another topic. You know that these giants have almost booked the place in at least quarter and semis, depending on which surface they play on. But Novak is the clear favorite on Wimbledon, and then you have Nadal and Djokovic. And what many people seems to forget is that Rafael Nadal is a very good grass player. He's not only king of clay. He has been in 5 Wimbledon finals. How many tennis players have been in 5 Wimbledon finals? You can count them on your hands. It's Roger Federer, it's Pete Sampras, it's Björn Borg, it's John McEnroe, it's Boris Becker, it's Jimmy Connors, it's Novak Djokovic. 7 players, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. And of course, Nadal has been in 5 finals, and people are saying that he's only good at clay. Of course, he won most of his titles on clay. That's not an understatement, but you can't come and say he's not good on grass. And he played one of the best Wimbledon matches last year against both Juan del Martin de Potro in the quarters and the epic semifinal against Novak Djokovic, where he was like 2 points away from winning that match. So Nadal will be competitive at Wimbledon, mark my words. And he has lost to lesser low-ranked players in the early stages before. That's had happened, but look at his 5 finals. 5 finals. That's pretty says everything about Nadal's quality on Wimbledon, on the grass surface. So, what can we more say about these 3 giants that has been dominated tennis for several years, almost 1.5 decades now? If you go and look at different social medias, everybody have their favorite players. Some say Novak, some say Rafa, most of them say Roger. If you look by the numbers, you know that Roger is right now straight ahead, because when you end your career, the first thing you're gonna look at is not the head-to-head rivalry, it's the Grand Slam titles that you have, the Grand Slam tally, who has won the most Grand Slam. And right now it's Roger Federer. But Rafael Nadal can surpass him. I think he will equaling him, because he will still be competitive for at least 2 or 3 years. And the French Open title, who is the most predictable Grand Slam event of all, only an injury can stop Nadal from winning that title. Dominic Thiem has been in the final for the last 2 years, and many thought that he would give Nadal a chance. But if you remember the 2017 French Open, where Nadal, I think, played one of his best 2 tennis weeks in his career, I just said to myself, I think, wow, this guy will have the French Open trophy as long as he's playing there, as long as he want to participate there. He's always gonna be the favorite of winning the French Open. So he can add up his numbers like for 2 or 3 more wins there, without a doubt. And you remember teams, some said that this is his year, he's gonna dethrone Rafael Nadal. He played well the first 2 sets, But Nadal gave him a breadstick in the set 3 and 4 and ended the match almost like the last year's final, where he almost destroyed the Dominic team. So Nadal will have at least 2 Grand Slams more to win in his body, I think. Injury is the only thing that can stop him, and he's still competitive on the other surfaces also. He reached the final of Australian Open. If you look at the last year's 2017 and 2019 this year. And if you look at Novak Djokovic, who is, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 5 years younger than Rafael Nadal, after his, some say it's a break, he departed from tour, the season 2017 and beginning of the 18, but he was there. He played almost every Grand Slam match, I think. He lost early, he didn't have the motivation, he wasn't as he's used to be, and then finally he found his mojo at Wimbledon last year, and won. After that he won 3 straight Grand Slam titles, from Wimbledon to Australian Open, and many thought that he was gonna hold all of the 4 of Grand Slams for the second time in his career. He did that at 2015 and 2016, from Wimbledon to his first victory at Roland Garros at 2016. So Novak is only 5 Grand Slam. I'm not saying only because 5 Grand Slam is very much, but if Novak managed to win at least 1 Grand Slam this year, I think he has a good chance to catch up with Federer, because he will be certainly competitive for at least 2 or 3 years, depending on his situations. Of course, he can get injured or lose motivation and stuff like that. That can happen to everybody. But if you look at all this GOAT considered player, you know that this guy will play until they consider that they don't have any more to give. And I think Federer's goal is to win his gold medal, so I will think he will play out the next season also, and after that he will think about if he's gonna retire or not. So he's chasing that, and of course every title that heavy title that he can win, of course. And it's the same with other guys. Nadal wants also to win his second Olympic gold medal in singles, and Novak, the only thing he misses in his trophy cabinet. So these guys will continue playing a little bit more than you think, I think, because Federer is not injured. Everybody's talking about his age, but he's there week after week. He's always in the quarterfinals, semifinals, finals of the Grand Slam event. Where are the next generation players that's gonna take over? Nowhere right now. Some of them have popped up and shown good results lately, but not as good as those 3, and not as good as they can win 7 matches on a Grand Slam event, because you have to win 7 matches and it's 5 sets. And there is where these 3 giants shows their class. So if you're gonna talk a little about this player, how they play or how they are 3 different play styles in my opinion. If you start with Novak, what can we say about him? One word comes to my mind, it's flexibility. His mental toughness, his court coverage. He's a attacking defender. He has every tool in his box. He's a master of court coverage. He's a master of reaching every ball. He runs that extra step. He gives back pushbacks the ball. You think that it's impossible. And together with a deadly backhand and the great serve that he has developed under Boris Becker, I think. And there when he became more and more complete. So I can say he's the most complete player on tour, maybe in history. And his return, we don't have to talk about. He has the best return in the tennis history together with Andre Agassi. My all-time favorite, if you ask me. Right now, I'm rooting for Federer since he started his career because I like his game style. And if you're gonna talk about Nadal, he's clearly the most competitive, the most fierce player in the world, and the most important thing, the most consistent player in the world. You will never find a more consistent player in tennis. Roger and Novak, when they played, they can be away for 5-10 minutes in the match. They can give their opportunities to come back in the match, but never Rafa. Every point is a match point, and that was make Rafa so good. The highest low level of all time. It's simply, he sends the message out to his opponent. I'm here for 4, 5, 6 hours in Grand Slam. Come, if you want to beat me, you have to be at top. You have to do the best match of your life to beat me. Of course, he has lost in Wimbledon to some low-ranked players, lucky losers, and wild cards through the years. If you think about Stephen Darcy's, Dustin Brown, Nick Kyrgios, and Lucas Rosol. But he's only a human. So that's the most impressive thing about Nadal, his mental toughness. He doesn't give you that chance to come into the match, to come in and dominate. That's Rafael Nadal, the short version. You can go on and talk more about how good Novak is or Rafa. This is the short version. And about Roger Federer, he's an ageless, elegant player, the most elegant player on court. He makes everything so effortless, and his on-court grace is so well balanced. His game is so well balanced. He knows everything about tennis. He can do everything with a tennis ball and a tennis racket, you know. And his forehand is probably the best forehand in history, together with Nadal's topspin forehand. But his court coverage, his first service solid, one of the best on tour, one of the greatest, I would say. And his volley game, his drop shots, his eye coordination, he knows how to play. He takes the ball early, first strike tennis. And the one thing that I can complain about Federer's game, it's his returns. Sometimes I get pissed off because he slices over easy serves, not easy, but second serves that he would probably can do better. He don't convert too much break points, in my opinion, because he's not as a good returner as Rafael Nadal and Novak Djokovic. But this guy is like Picasso. Every stroke is like a painted, is like a painting. He paints the shots. He's a joy to watch. He's the most popular player on tour. He's the most popular player in history. And when he hangs up his racket, he will be considered as not only the greatest tennis player of all time, as the best athlete of all time. He has been for several generations of players, because Novak, Rafael, and Djoko, they are not players in the same generation. They're players in the same era, because Roger is older than them. He had his prime before them. And of course, when they're playing each other, they have beaten each other at Grand Slam's final. So, but at this peak prime, Roger's peak prime was early, and then Nadal's and Novak's. So Novak has to have been competing in both these guys' prime, not in Federer's first prime, but in the second prime that I think he had after 2009. So what can we say more about these giants? Every fan has their favorite. Roger is considered by most experts and of his fans, of course, and people that don't know about tennis, they can name him as one of the players. He's considered as the best tennis player of all time. Right now he is, but I'm not for sure when Nadal and Djokovic hangs up their rackets. That can be a different melody then. And Rafael is the most competitive player on tour, and Novak Djokovic is the more all-round player on tour, and he has the upper hand against both of them right now if you look at the head-to-head stats. But that's not everything. Right now it's the Grand Slam tally. So every fans of these three giants should be proud. I can say I'm very happy to see all of these three giants in the same era. That's a thing that only gonna be once in a lifetime. You will never see play like this in the next 100 years, I think. And we should be happy to see them, not talk negative about him or him or him. They are the best players that we can witness, and we should be lucky that they are still competing. Federer is turning 38. It shouldn't be possible for in that age, in this difficult and tough sport, to compete at this high level. I just can't see it. That shows that he's a unicorn. He's a special player. He's a very special, talented man. And Rafa also, and Novak, of course. These guys will make this discussion go around the world for many, many years from there, and that has been a question: who is the GOAT? I can't tell you who's the GOAT, but if you go by numbers now, Federer are, but they can catch up on him. So these players, it's been a real fortune for tennis lovers around the world to see them compete week after week, year after year. What would tennis be without these guys? Or is just one of them was on the scene? Tennis wouldn't have been as good as it is now. So enjoy them while they are still here playing. Remember that it's just tennis. It's not about life or death. That's all I have to say. Take care. Please subscribe and comment down below if you have anything to say, if you have another different opinion. Bye bye. Take care.